Welcome to the Goth and the Sloth. I'm your Sloth, Matt.
And I'm Luna the Goth.
This is the podcast of two friends living a country apart, living our best lives, and talking about what we get into.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to take the first part of our podcast and discuss the COVID-19 pandemic, how it affects our lives, how it affects your lives, and how it affects everything.
Mm-hmm. See, I like it when you do that.
And also we're sprinkling civil unrest into all this too.
Yeah, well, it's 2020. Beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly. So how you doing?
Oh, surviving, and it's officially July when we're recording this, so it's officially the second half of the year, whatever
Yay.
that means.
Yeah, we actually hit official like 100% or 50% yesterday on all those weird Twitter accounts that show you the like a progress bar for the
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
And it's like, oh god, it's been 2020 for like 6 years.
definitely feels like it's been 2020 for at least 6 years. Might even be a decade. I don't even remember the times before
The
2020.
the before times.
Right. What were those again?
Mommy, tell me about the times before the sickness.
Yeah, exactly that. Oh my gosh, that's so accurate. It's crazy.
All right, well, let's jump into it. What's going on in the greater Virginia area?
So in Virginia, we have 63,735 cases. I did realize that that is like total cases. So we have 61,039 confirmed, and then the others are like suspected. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just going to keep reporting the same numbers.
Yeah.
Um, So we have 6,333 hospitalizations and 1,816 deaths. So we're still climbing, still
Yep.
doing the thing. Um, we're in phase 3 right now. We've just kind of been holding steady. Um, Outside of that, news-wise, there've been a lot of articles floating around on all of the social media places and whatever about how protests are not necessarily linked to the rises in COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that I would mention that, or at least uh, talk about what that actually means. So there was a study done, and they used data from 315 of the largest U.S. cities, and they documented that protests took place in 281 of those cities. So that's like their population.
Mm-hmm.
The study's lead author, Deval Dave, I think that's how you say his name, of Bentley University said, in many cities, the protests actually seemed to lead to a net increase in social distancing as more people who did not protest decided to stay off the streets.
Interesting. That's a weird look at it.
Yeah, so it's like it mostly sounds like it's just like a net wash. Like
Yeah.
overall, it doesn't lead to a huge increase because there's a large part of the population that was staying at home and quarantining.
Mm-hmm.
And then those that were out were practicing social distancing as much as they could. But overall, like, I guess the average social distance between each person.
Yeah, well, you don't want to like go out and about if there's large protests. I know it was pretty much and still kind of is. You want to avoid downtown because randomly you might just get stopped by a protest and now you're stuck on the street for, an hour or two and
Yeah, totally. So it's just been really really interesting hearing that, and then I finally looked at the study and was like, oh, that's what they mean.
yeah, it's really cool cuz I was going to
So
kind of
maybe
mention
protests are saving the world.
yeah, I was going to kind of mention some of that too cuz yeah, I see it in a lot of comments on stuff that's going on where like, "Oh, isn't it amazing how the protests are immune to COVID?" And I was
Mhm.
it upsets me, but also I get the thought process. I don't agree with it, but I get it. Where it's like, you
Oh,
tell
totally. Well,
everyone,
you can't reason with people who think that the media is lying to them no matter what,
yeah.
because then all facts aren't true, alternative facts. So really, there's no arguing with them. I don't know why you try.
Oh, I don't. I just every so often I'll just scroll the comments, which I need to stop. But
Stop it. That's it's like what they'll look back and be like, what was the common thread for all of these people's crippling depression? Oh, comments. Comments on threads. That's what it
yes,
was.
I mean,
Ugh,
not the comments that we get on our channel, which people should add,
you
because that
should
does make me
do that. And
happy.
they should be nice ones. If you want to complain, send us an email because Matt handles that. Speaking of protests, though, the Confederate statues in Richmond are officially coming down.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, for real. So they started with Stonewall Jackson on July 1st. Basically, the city council met and they couldn't or wouldn't vote on it. So they said that we'd do a special meeting on July 2nd. But the mayor was like, screw that, and just did an executive order, I guess, citing that the presence of these statues is a public safety hazard.
Okay.
And so that gives him, we were waiting on July 1st to be able to do this anyway, but um, a law went into effect that made this easier to go down. But essentially, he's putting them in storage for a while until he can. I don't know what they do with it, but I'm sure they're not
It
putting it
just
back
makes me
up. I'll
think
tell
of
you
the
that.
end of Raiders of the Lost Ark of like it's a giant like warehouse and it's just a plain box with no markings. It just gets put somewhere in a warehouse.
Yeah, that would almost make me feel better. like, anyway, so, but I will say that it was a very bittersweet moment because while they were doing that, and like people obviously flocked around it because they were like, all right, are they taking them down? Like, everybody's like trying, like, where do you see any cranes? Do you see any cranes? And
Mm-hmm.
like, everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And then, they started doing it and it was amazing, and as they started getting ready to lift it, the skies opened up and it was like a severe thunderstorm and everyone was just getting soaked, and it was really cool. um but because it's 2020, we can't have anything nice, and so uh there were
Mm-hmm.
protests at City Hall at the same time, because they were protesting being evicted because all of the protections ended during a pandemic. We should not be evicting people during a pandemic. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, that kind of
So
gets people more infected.
yeah, just it's not the humane thing to do. But are we a humane society? I don't
I
know.
mean, my humane society is across the street, but I don't think that's what you meant.
It's not what I meant, and that's Dumb Friends League
It is
anyway.
dumb friends.
Um, but yeah, so there was a protest going on at City Hall at the same time, and at that protest, police were brutalizing people. They arrested people, tackled people, pepper sprayed them. So
Awesome.
here we are.
Great.
That's how Virginia's doing. What about Colorado?
So we are at 33,352 confirmed cases, which is up 2,000 from last week. So still climbing. 5,527 hospitalizations, which is 135 more hospitalizations in a week. So that's a
Hmm.
lot, and that's more than last week. And
Mm-hmm.
1,521 deaths, which is 39 more from last week, which is actually a decline from previous weeks, which is good. So we're
Mm-hmm.
getting more cases, but less people are dying.
Yet.
That could, yes, it's true. Yes. Which you could attribute it to possibly more testing, more available testing as
Mm.
well. But that's good because you want to know who's got it and you want to know if you got it, so you know what to do. And so
Hmm.
I've just heard that argument a lot, like, oh, there's been more testing, that's why there's more cases. Well, yeah, but you want to know
We
these
need that.
things. Yeah.
We need more testing. We've been asking for more testing.
So
It's kind of a
Colorado,
big deal.
yeah. So Colorado is closing bars now. So we tried to do a hold off, and then within a week, Governor Polis is like, nah, close the bars. So bars are back to being closed.
Understandable. I mean, I get
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Like
It sucks for the bars. Like, I,
yeah,
I understand those businesses are probably really upset, um, which is just another reason why we need another stimulus package to come through that doesn't feed the banks and giant corporations, but
yep,
actually feed small business and, individual humans getting kicked out of their houses.
yeah.
Um, but, I'm not a politician, so.
But yeah, so yeah, I agree with it. I wasn't going to bars anyways, but you know,
Yeah, I don't feel
just
comfortable going to a bar right now anyway.
yeah,
But all right.
yeah, people are gonna people.
Mhm.
On as equally depressing news as some of yours, we had a uh, violin
Vigil.
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 It's a hard word for
Mhm.
me. For
You just want to add a couple more letters in
yep.
there. That's all.
For Elijah McClain, who was an autistic kid who was killed by cops. And the cops went ahead and brutalized people and pepper sprayed at this vigil.
There were kids there
There
too.
were kids there.
That's pretty fucked up.
A 13-year-old was confirmed to be pepper sprayed right in the face. So, and we had an order not. The police have an order not to use pepper spray or tear gas, and they did.
What are your feelings on Denver PD versus Aurora PD?
I think Aurora PD's far worse.
Really
They're much more. What do I want to say? Uh,
aggressive?
Aggressive. They just suck. I don't know. Like, everyone's had problems with them, I think. And I live right on the border of Aurora. Luckily, my apartment's policed by Douglas County sheriffs, which is a whole thing I won't even get into. But
That's true. You do have a unique situation where you live, but Douglas County, I can't even imagine what their sheriffs are
yeah,
like. Anyway, we're talking a lot of local stuff. Sorry guys. So anyway, good.
but yeah, so yeah, Aurora, they're really bad, and for more colorization on that, they had a police officer last year. Yeah, it was last year, who got drunk while on duty and fell asleep in the driver's side of his car with the engine running, and of course he had his service pistol on him, and he got paid vacation for this.
I didn't know about the paid vacation. God damn, that's such a
I
slap in
mean,
the face.
it was paid executive leave or some bullshit, but
Administrative
it's paid.
leave.
Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
like it's paid. You getting paid vacation for being drunk on the job.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god.
And I haven't looked too much into it, but I think he's still on the force. So it's like, yeah, you guys are corrupt as shit.
Mhm. Yep.
So yeah, that's a thing. Let's see, what else did I have? Yeah, the protests. And not catching COVID. That's just been a thing, but I'm really glad you found a cool study. I like that. I'm gonna have to read that later.
Yeah, I found it in Forbes, but it's been published. Like people have been talking about it everywhere, so I'm sure you can find it.
Yeah. So, and that's about where kind of Denver's at.
Hmm.
We're seeing a spike, but it's not a mortal spike, as in deaths,
Huh.
but overall cases.
Just made me think
'Cause
of Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
That's all this year needs, I guess. Just why not? Just throw Mortal Kombat in here.
But yeah, I mean, just like looking back on my notes, this is the lowest week-to-week death rate that Colorado's had.
That's good. But they
So
did.
that's good.
The wave does follow the wave of cases, so if you're
Yeah,
peaking
so
cases
it's
now, you'll peak deaths in a couple
yeah,
weeks.
exactly. So it's a wait and see kind of thing. And yeah, it's still 39 people that are no longer on this planet, and that is terrible.
Yeah, for real. Like, it's something that I hope we don't have to remind people that we want no one to die. That's
Yeah.
that's how we're rolling in this podcast. If you want people to die of COVID and you want us to sympathize with that, we are not the podcast for you.
I mean, I like fictional characters to die, but they have to be fictional.
Oh, sure. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, if it's fiction, like everybody should die. It's not realistic unless everyone dies at the end.
This is true. So, what's going on in Luna's world?
Um, what is going on in my world? I feel like I have worked, but not as much as last week, which is good because last week I was like going crazy. Um,
Yeah, my
but
mom said you sounds like you need a hug when she listened to the podcast.
oh, thanks, Matt's mom. I'll take a distant hug. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been hiding really from the world. I'm happy to see these statues going down, but I'm really nervous about the backlash, especially as we come up on 4th of July and
Yep.
I don't know. I'm wary and I'm tired, super tired. And yeah, I don't know what to expect. So in my world, I've just kind of been staying abreast of the news. And oh man, I saw something today that was like, oh no. And of course it was Florida, but it
Yep.
was the sheriff, I think, of Clay County in Florida, which is the county that has St. Augustine in it. It's right next to Jacksonville.
Okay. Yep.
And he was like, if we feel overwhelmed by protests, then I'm going to give every gun owner in the county deputy, do whatever it's called, deputy permission or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, so that's how the Civil War starts. Got
Well, which is weird, because, and I don't think it was in that county or where that was at, but there was another Florida protest about getting back in the bars.
it. That was
And
Texas, but
was that
probably also
Texas?
Florida. Yeah,
No,
the
there was
big one
also
was
a
in
Florida
Texas.
one. There was a Florida one because
Okay.
someone made a joke that he's like, when I was growing up, I always knew Florida was full of dumb people, and it was, or wait, no, it's a bunch of hillbillies surrounding an amusement park. But now that I've
Oh.
lived there, I also know it's really hot there too. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
guess what didn't show up to that protest?
Mm,
Yeah, no police, no brutality, no pepper spray.
of course not. Yeah, and I
So
think the other thing that's been like really maybe informative or it's at least played a role in my week is all the Karens on Twitter.
yeah,
Like they're just coming out of the woodwork. Like
I, yeah. Actually,
left and right.
I watched a really good video about the mental state of a Karen, but they
Really?
actually really went into like studies and why this personality trait is what it is and what makes that, and also why we're seeing so much of it.
Hmm.
And why we're seeing so much of it is mostly because in times of crisis and unease, you fall back on what you know. And, that's what they know is to yell at people. And the Karen mindset is actually very hateful of themselves.
Hmm.
And they feel like they don't have a lot of control of their world, and that's why they lash back out.
Hmm.
And so, in extra times of crisis, they're going to pop up more. I'm not excusing the
No, no,
the
no, of course not.
but
And that's something that I think is in 2020, I think everybody, I wish I could just like help everyone see the world through a mental health professional's eyes or like counseling's eyes because you have to realize that everybody's going through their own stuff and in
yeah,
their individual world they're making the choices that make sense to them and sometimes those choices hurt other people and they have to answer for those choices.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, they're making a choice that makes sense to them, that helps them feel safer, helps them feel more in control. And unfortunately, these things don't wash out to a happy world.
Yeah.
um, so I don't know. I have a lot of sympathy for everybody right now, even the nutsos. Like I realize that they feel so out of control and helpless, and they feel like the world is being stolen from them. That doesn't make them less stupid.
This is true.
It just means that I understand the emotions that they're going through. Um,
Yeah.
I just wish, they could not watch Fox News for long enough to realize that the blacks ain't coming for their jobs, and it's not actually nice to want to kill other people,
Yeah.
and like publicly and watch the execution. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I saw a Karen video of the woman, I think in Michigan, that pulled her
Oh,
gun
the
on the,
armed Karen. Yeah.
yeah, and then like husband in the car pulls the gun as well, and it's just like I've been thinking about like these calls for people of color to arm themselves, and that's a whole other giant can of worms, talking about being armed and guns and all of that stuff. But I wonder, like, people are like, you have to arm yourself so that you can protect yourself," and it's like, but if Karen and
Darren.
Jeff, if Karen and Jeff sat there and saw this black woman and her family, and the black woman is like, "Please don't hit me with your car," and Karen freaks out, draws her pistol and points it at her and says, "Back away, back up, you're threatening me," and she's like, "No, I'm not, you try to hit me with your
Yeah.
car," and the black woman pulls out a gun, black woman's dead.
Yep.
It's the same problem. It's the white supremacy like, if it anyway. So that might be fueling my depression this week. Who knows? Anyway, what about you? What are you up to this week?
Well, my office has begun, or my company has begun phase one of opening back up. Luckily, it doesn't affect me, but it's interesting. They're doing it in a way that doesn't actually change anything, which is weird. So
What do
we're
you
opening
mean?
one office. It's one of our Indianapolis offices, and only at 40% capacity. And also, if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to go in. And they encourage supervisors not to try and push people to come in either. So really, it's where we're at now. We're like, if you want to come in the office, no one's going to stop you. Like, that's on you if you want to come in the
Hmm.
office. So I don't know if this is like a dip their toe in the water and see if there's backlash or see where that's at or what that's
So it's like
about.
they're opening the office for the one dude that's like, "I can't stay at home anymore. I have to go into the office so I can breathe."
Yeah.
And that's who's going to be in the office. You're going to walk in there, it's going to be a bunch of parents that are tired of being stuck at home.
Possibly. I mean, it's like, yeah, we didn't stop anyone from going in the office. Like, if you want to go in the office right
Mhm.
now, you can. I wouldn't suggest it, and I don't see why you'd want to, but it's a possibility. So I don't know.
Hmm.
It's interesting, but yeah, that's phase one of. They didn't say how many phases. So
I know, right? I think it's so funny that we're like phase 1 of 500.
so I don't know, but my direct supervisors doesn't think we're needed to go in the office, and her boss also thinks the same. So I'm probably gonna stay at home, which is good.
Yeah, I think just stay at home as long as you
Yep.
possibly can.
Just holding on to my desk as people are pulling my feet, trying to drag me out. Like, no.
Yeah. No.
Let's see. Besides that, oh, I released a new video today, like an hour ago. So,
Oh, snap.
if you want us to check that out, it's ranking all the Mission Impossible movies.
Oh, yeah, you were working on that.
So
Okay.
that's out and about. But
Sounds good.
that's
That sounds like a whole lot of
it
Tom
is. You're
Cruise.
gonna see a lot of
Hmm.
Tom in the video, unfortunately. But you can
Hmm.
listen to it and not hear him.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
And
No, I will totally watch your video, even if my eyes will melt out of my head.
besides that, I also decided I'm not celebrating America this year. Instead, I'm going to celebrate Rube Goldberg's birthday, which is July 4th. Rube Goldberg is the comedian and inventor that invented the Rube Goldberg machine. So that's the kind of
Okay.
machine where, like, it's mousetrap, where one thing sets off the next thing that sets off the next thing, sets off the next thing.
Huh.
Seems like a better thing
Cool.
to celebrate this year, if you ask
Hey,
me.
yeah. I mean, I was just gonna celebrate it being Saturday. Yay, Saturday!
Oh, and also today is Margot Robbie's birthday. So I know she's out there listening. She's one of our Australian listeners, I'm sure. So
Oh, yeah, definitely. That
happy.
one Australian listener that tuned in that one week was her.
It was. So happy
I,
birthday, Margot Robbie.
and I thought of you, actually, because I watched her episode of Hot Ones.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, she can't handle any heat. This isn't fun to watch at all. It's just torture.
I don't know if Australians are known for spicing things, so
I don't know. I
she's.
thought they would be. Australia is like out to kill you. I thought their taste buds would be adapted to that, but
I don't know. Have you had Vegemite? It's terrible.
yeah, maybe they just don't have taste buds.
That,
Anyway,
that could be.
whatever.
Anywho's, let's jump into our main topic because we did a lot of waffling today, but a lot of good discussions already. But let's get into it. What are we talking about this week?
So this week, we're going to, well, I wanted to highlight that humans, as we are they,
Yep. I am one of them humans.
yep, yep, not blowing the cover at all. So we've had a rough year as we know it. 2020 has felt like forever. But we do share this large, gassy, wet ball with other beings, a lot of other beings, namely animals. So today we're going to talk about how the COVID-19 pandemic
Yeah.
affects animals. Yay, creatures.
Creatures, fur babies.
All of them. Scaly babies, feather babies, skin babies.
Uh, okay. I don't know what that's referencing, but it's disturbing.
Well, I was in that moment. I was picturing a like a naked Siamese
Oh,
kitty,
okay.
a little Sphinx cat.
I was
Um,
picturing someone making a doll out of human skin, like
that
a
was my
Cabbage
next
Patch
thought.
doll. Yeah.
I love that.
I haven't watched too many horror movies at all.
No, you have not watched enough. Yeah, I agree. All right. So I'll start off. I'll go ahead and start with what we know from the CDC. So we know that the virus came from an animal, but we're not sure which. We know it's likely been a bat or even a pangolin, which are so freaking cute, and I want to hug one. It probably wouldn't like it though, so I just want to boop it on the nose.
All right.
Um, but I mean, in general, the CDC website is so helpfully unhelpful because it's all like, we don't know, I don't know, maybe. Uh.
Yeah.
so, but it does appear we do know that people can spread the virus to animals in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
The CDC says that very few pets have contracted the virus, but it is possible for them to contract it. And again, according to the CDC, none have died from COVID.
Yep.
So, no animal fatalities.
I will
Basically,
add. They found the easiest home animals that can get it are ferrets, cats, and hamsters.
yeah, little wiggle nosed guys.
Yeah. But mice, pigs, chickens, and ducks all seem to be immune.
Oh, Really? I didn't know it couldn't go to my. So not all nose wigglies.
Not all.
Hmm.
And it's weird for pigs because usually pigs can contract a flu,
Mhm.
especially COVID being a SARS.
Mhm.
But that's
Mhm.
interesting. But yeah, that's what CDC listed as well.
Cool. So yeah, so we don't have. Basically, the animals are winning. They are not dying from COVID, and we are. So here we go.
Here we are.
Um, but yeah, so when I think about COVID and pets specifically, domesticated animals, I think about how many times I scoop up my cat Nisha and like shove my face in her fur and like breathe deeply. Like, not even exaggerating, I do that several times a day.
You got the meme of the cat of raise your hand if you've been forcefully petted today.
I mean, it's not forcefully pet. I just do the scoop and hug and then sniff. Or sing. Sometimes I sing into her fur. I don't think she likes it very much. Um, but yeah, so I think of how many times I do that, and then I think like if I get the virus, it would be devastating not to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But don't do it because your kitty could get it.
Yeah. CDC recommends that you treat pets like you family members if you have it. You need to quarantine from pets as well during your sick time.
No, I don't want to, but I would. I would do it for her safety. She'd be like, "Yes, finally, she leaves me alone." Actually, that's not true. Anytime I leave for any amount of time, she's like, "Why did you leave? I thought we had an understanding that you were going to be here all the time now. And for the next 2 hours, I'm going to bite your feet." All
Seems
right.
reasonable.
So, speaking of pets, this pandemic has certainly impacted the veterinary medicine field. So, many vets and techs have shifted to curbside admissions, meaning that you don't get to go in with your creature. Um, and I mean, not that you went in the back with your creature, but you pull up in your car, they get the animal from your car, and then they come back out to your car. And that to me is like so heartbreaking if you have a really nervous kitty or nervous
Hmm.
puppy. Um, but yeah, so then thinking about how that impacts people who have unfortunately lost a pet during this time, uh, again, it I've heard horror stories of not being able to be there with your animal when that happens. Um, at this point, though, I'm hoping the measures have been relaxed enough again that that's not the case, and hopefully they don't go
Yeah.
back there. But I thought that it was an interesting aspect of how the pandemic has affected um, vets and vet techs because it's hard on them too. They don't want that for the animal. They know that they're not the person the animal's looking for in any of these situations. So
Yeah, they're kind
um,
of the
yeah.
forgotten, essential workers because we tend to think the essential workers
Hmm.
as grocery stores and cleaning and whatnot, and doctors, but also veterinarians have
Hmm.
been working this entire time as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't close your vet office. Like there's still so many essential services. And speaking of, that's what I was actually going to talk about
Aha.
next. So, uh, some vets have talked about they're having difficulty or they've had difficulty deciding what is considered essential care. And so at first I was like, well, that seems pretty easy to me.
Yeah.
why why don't you know what that is? But then they were like, and for example, if a pet has cancer and is receiving treatment, then that you have to have PPE for treating that animal for cancer. But what if the likelihood of survival despite treatment is low and you have a limited amount of PPE and you need to treat trauma
Yeah.
patients? So how do you make that choice? Like, I'm not going to treat your pet for cancer because we might get, an emergency and we need to be able to,
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, yeah, I get it. Sorry. I doubted you, vets. I'm the worst. But yeah, I used to want to be a vet, and after reading all of this, I'm like,
It's
never mind.
it's it's hard. I
It's
mean, a
crazy
big part of
hard.
your job is that final step, and just that alone.
That final step does not exist to me. I just deny it for every time it's happened in the past, and I deny it for any time it'll happen in the future. um, so yeah, and then the last thing I wanted to say, before I turn it over to you, is this is kind of unrelated to the whole pets and veterinary stuff, but it's just like my little like hopeful feeling since everything I've said
All
was
right.
depressing. Um, so I personally think that we will see an impact in the bird community. What's the bird community called? Aviary?
Aviary. That sounds
Avi?
about right.
Aviary?
Avionics.
Okay. I don't think so, but let's go with aviary. And if we're wrong, comment on a post. So, um, cities have been a lot quieter for the last few months. So I have to imagine that communication among animals, including birds, has improved. And if so, like how much? What does that mean? There was that episode of Planet Earth 2 where they talked about how communication is hampered by how friggin' loud we are as a animal race. Like humans just take up all
Yeah.
all of the sound waves, the whole spectrum. We're just like, yeah, we're most important. Screw anything else that's trying to communicate. And so, they talked about in the ocean how if you don't have, cruise ships and boats coming through for a certain amount of time, that animals will adapt and actually
Mm-hmm.
be able to communicate with each other. So I'm hoping that maybe these quieter cities will have some sort of positive impact or something, help some animals get laid, make babies.
Well, I know we've seen, a big resurgence in birds in some of the quieter cities, um, because they can gather, but also the ones that depend on
Right.
people feeding them bread and stuff have seen a bit of an issue. That was 100 years ago in March when I was seeing that kind of stuff.
Right?
But like,
What?
but
March.
there's like a gang of monkeys in India that were like roaming around because people are normally feed them, and there's no one to feed them, and they were getting all angry. And
Aw.
is Planet of the Apes starting?
Oh, snap.
I don't
That's
know.
kind of amazing.
I don't know where we're at now, but yeah, there's a lot of that. So I dove more into the CDC stuff, and pulled out a couple good
Of course you
tips
went
and stuff.
data driven. I should have known.
So at this time, there's no significant evidence that animals play a significant role in spreading the virus that causes COVID-19. So the big takeaway from that is you don't have to worry about squirrels infecting people, or the big fear again 100 years ago in March of everyone killing bats. They don't.
For leaving their animals at the shelter
Yeah.
because they think they can get it from their animal or whatever.
So they don't. They can catch it, but they don't seem to be, as far as I can tell, able to spread it. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. If you interact with animals. Now we did, of course, see the tiger that got it, and that's where they kind of started doing some looks into felines, and felines can and seem to do catch it, but it doesn't seem to affect them as much as humans, and they seem to be able to get over it.
Right. And no one got sick from a
Yes,
tiger.
correct. The tiger got sick from a person.
Right.
We are the dirty carriers, not the tiger.
It's like every turn we take, the universe is like, humans gotta go. You gotta go.
Can you stop being humans for just like a
right?
week.
It's like would we have like locusts going on, and like literally every plague is trying to happen at the same time. And is it true that China is dumping a bunch of ducks in Pakistan to help with the locusts?
I I've
I don't
heard
know if that's true
that.
or not.
It
I
kind of
saw
sounds
it and I thought it was
amazing.
funny.
Yeah. I want to see. I just want to see like a. Is it a flock of ducks? A massive squadron
Excellent.
of ducks just waddling into
Excellent
Pakistan.
question. Waddling.
Ducks waddle.
Well, I was definitely picturing them like parachuting in
Oh, okay.
because they did that with beavers, I think. Oh man, I don't remember what country it was, but some country somewhere, and it was back in the day. It was like right after, it was during or after World War II, and there was an excess of parachutes, and they needed to get beavers to this particular area, and they were like, "Well, we just chuck them out of planes."
Poor beavers.
So I don't actually know how the results looked, but I thought that the idea was novel.
See, I just like the idea of just like them all in formation and then doing that little ducky walk as they're going in, and then
Oh,
each locust they eat, they do the little happy dance that ducks do.
oh, that would be cute.
Uh, and then one thing that we didn't touch on is the dogs in the families. And
Hmm.
one study suggests that dogs can get infected, but not spread it to other dogs. But they don't seem to be able to catch it as easily as cats.
Hmm.
So
I
also
wonder
keep
what
that
that
in mind. I
means.
don't know. More research.
Maybe it's. Hmm. Yeah, maybe it's a. You know, we. I don't necessarily. Banna doesn't sit still enough for me to shove my face into her fur and breathe deeply. If I do that, she either licks it or just goes in circles around it. She wiggles out of that
Yeah,
situation.
that's
So in my household, the creature that's more likely to get me breathing all over it is the cat.
that's actually not a bad point. Like, cause dogs are they're walked on the leash, but you don't like carry them. You don't put your face in them. Um, they tend to not sleep directly on top of your face while you sleep.
Some of them do,
Some do.
but yeah, not my dog.
Um, and then along with that, everyone in America has been seeing the rise in fireworks, and of course, not many
Oh
dogs
yeah,
handle that very well. So,
no,
protect
it's scary.
protect your woofs from I don't know even how, but
Thunder jacket
yeah,
vest, thunder vest, whatever those things are called. They usually, I mean, they don't always help, but they can help. So I do recommend it if anyone is out there wondering how to help your dog, especially because there have been fireworks like every day for the last 2 months.
right,
So,
yeah,
um, you probably figured it out by now. But if not, just getting your dog a little vest, a little, even just like a little sweater. I put a little sweater on Banna. She's not really bothered by fireworks. She's more just like annoyed that it's waking her up kind of thing. But she does calm down a lot when she's being snuggled by a constant hug.
yeah. That does seem to help. I mean, I don't really have to deal with much because my cat's got 5 levels of not give a shit. there was a
That's
there's a
true.
terrible thunder and hailstorm going on once, and she slept through the entirety of it. Didn't even acknowledge the existence of thunder. It was just
Aww.
like, nah, sleeping, sleep time. What are you doing?
Aw. Yeah, there was a really big thunderstorm here the other day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I like got to the point where I was a little nervous that there was gonna be like hail or something breaking the windows. And I looked over at the cat, and she was like, "What?" Okay, well, I guess it's just me that's worried. Then
So I guess
I'm still gonna hug you
yeah.
anyway.
So I guess the takeaway for most of this is, treat if you don't already treat your fur babies like people. If you wouldn't trust you being touched in the face by someone coming in your house, then don't let them pet your cat because they can also get it. If you do let your cats roam free, which you shouldn't, but if you do,
Mm-hmm.
Stop, right? Because they can catch it from, well, they can
Right.
catch it from a whole bunch of other places. Like right now is not a really good time for your free roaming cats if that's how you do it. But
Mm-hmm.
also, you shouldn't do that to begin with. It's actually very dangerous for them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And bad. It's bad for
yeah,
everything. I I want to cite that. What's the? Is it the Orange Collar Project? I think. I don't know. Google it, and if that's not it, message us, and I'll find it for you. But um, there are many facts tied to. It's just much better for everybody. The cat, the everything. If you do not let your cat
yeah.
roam.
Let them stay home. They like it. Mine's passed out right behind me right now. So,
I mean, and if you have a yard, that's ideal, right?
yeah.
Like if your cat likes being outside, like let them play in the yard, but don't let them run free
You're right.
free.
Yeah, exactly. On another kind of note I've seen is we did actually mention this before, but there is a shelter literally next door to me. Like I share a fence with them, and they're called the
Hmm.
Dumb Friends League, and they're having issues getting animals out there because of financial issues. People don't want to take on an extra responsibility and extra pets, things like that.
Hmm.
So that's something to kind of think about as well. I don't have a good answer for that, but that is something
Hmm.
that's a hardship for pets right now too. Is shelters, they can't, they're an essential business, but currently I think they're only doing virtual meetups with the pets. You
Hmm.
can't go in and check out the pets. You have to like, it's a whole process. It's an extra process.
Yeah, and they're getting
Yeah.
full too. So, I do know that some places have been desperate for people to help foster. So, if you're in a situation where you might be able to foster a cat or a dog or a litter, um, then look into how you might be able to help your local shelters because they will likely not say
Yeah.
no.
I wish I could. I wish I could get another cat, but Spumoni has made it abundantly clear. This is a one animal household.
Yeah, I um I could just keep I don't
Well,
know.
Nisha grew
I
up with
want another.
a brother, so, or sister,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
both
Well, n-
ish. Yeah.
yeah. She there yeah, there was another cat and sorry, there were two other cats in the
Yep.
litter.
And
Um
then you also, how you've had Banna the whole time you had Nisha, right? So yeah,
mhm.
she grew up,
Mhm.
with a
Oh, yeah, yeah,
turbo
yeah.
dog running
Yeah.
around.
With a turbo dog. It's true. So yeah, and like now that Banna is down in Florida, I'm like one animal in this house is not enough. I need another animal. And I'm so close to getting another animal, but then when Banna gets back,
It's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
hectic. Yeah.
rabid.
But yeah,
So,
so if you can
yeah.
donate, if possible, if you can foster, do what you can. But yes, shelters are also seeing an increase of animals and a decrease in adoptions. So they're getting full. Yeah. But also, just on that note, just my personal thing is don't give an animal as a pet or as a present. Don't give an animal as a present. There we go. Unless you're sure that person can actually take care of them.
That's an interesting note,
You never
Matt.
heard that? That's a thing.
I mean, sure, but it's even like I just feel like it's a broader thing. Like, don't adopt an animal if you're not positive that you're going to take care of that animal for the rest
Yeah,
of
but
its
people are
life.
like, "Oh, I'll get my girlfriend this cute, rabbit or what?" Or
Who does that? I guess I've been dating the
I
wrong
actually
people.
did it once
Matt.
back in high school.
Actually, now that I think of it, I was totally gifted a dog from my first
Ah,
boyfriend.
see,
But I kept her, and then eventually my parents said that we couldn't have her anymore, and so we rehomed her to a family friend who was looking for a dog. But and she's
and
still
it
with
all
him,
worked
so
out. All right, got anything else to
yeah.
add to the pet discussion? Anything else you're thinking about?
No, no, other than like I would love to play with some kitties.
Yeah.
Yep. I wanna pretend like I'm gonna foster and then just keep them all. But not until I'm in an actual
Yeah.
house.
Then you can get a.
So that's my
Then you
last
can
thought.
set up your own catio
Very selfish.
outside.
Kitty cats.
I would just
Kitty
add,
kitty
if you're
cats.
not sick, pet your pet.
Oh, of course. Give them lots of love and give them
Because
some extra treats
it's not
today.
only
They
good for
deserved
them, but
it.
it's also really good for everyone's depression and sadness. Hug a kitty, you'll always be happy.
It's true. And truly, give them snacks. They work hard
Yeah,
sleeping all
mine's
day.
taking her post-afternoon nap to make sure she's ready for her evening nap.
Hmm. It's critical.
So, let's move on to our distractions. What are we distracting ourselves with from the burning dumpster fire that is 2020 outside our house? What
Yes.
are you distracting with?
It almost feels like we are in the dumpster fire. The fire is all around. um, I've just been distracting myself with the new Twilight Zone. I finally
Nice.
got started on it. I had to be in the mood for sci-fi. Um, and then I'm in the mood, so I've just been binging it, and it's good. I really like the stories. I just wish that they were a smidge shorter.
Sure.
Um, because the original series, it really like busted through that storyline and got to the point, and then kind of went to the next one. It was like 25 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
These are like an hour-ish or 45 minutes to an hour, and it's like, come on. Like you could have slimmed all of these down by 10 minutes. It would have been fine. But the stories themselves are really cool, and I love it. Jordan Peele did a great job producing it. The writers did a fantastic job. There's an amazing headlining actress or actor in every episode, so it's been nice seeing some faces that I haven't seen in a while. So
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
What about you?
Bunch of things. Well, of course, I always got the band thing going on. We are streaming tomorrow, but by the time this comes out, it will have passed that. But you can still check out the stream replay
There you
on
go.
YouTube or Twitch or Facebook Live. So we've been getting ready for that. Another big thing that actually happened today was the Major League Lacrosse League. Yep.
2 leagues. It is the League of Leagues.
It's Major League Lacrosse is the actual name, but it sounds weird to be like the Major League Lacrosse League. Anyways,
We're fine, guys. We're fine. We're not
We're-
losing our minds at all.
we're all cogent here. So they're actually going to go ahead and have their season, but they're going to do an entire season in a week.
What?
So it's going to be incredibly shortened season with like a really short playoff. But yeah, they are sequestering every team in Annapolis, Maryland. And they're only going to have a 2-day training camp and then jump into the league. And so they're kind of doing what basketball is doing, but in a easier way, because I couldn't understand doing a week of sequestering everybody rather than basketball is going to go for too long, however long. But
Well, I don't know. I just have so many questions, but okay. Cool.
so yeah, they're playing at is it the Air Force Stadium? Yeah, whatever's in Annapolis, and so yeah, I'll be on ESPN Plus. I'm very excited about that. I actually get to see some lacrosse, so that'll be fun. There'll be no fans or anything, so it'll be, pretty plain Jane, but. It's something. It's a sport to watch, and it will
Yeah.
distract me.
It's yes. It is all of those things. It is not a sport that I will watch unless you're buying me a ticket to watch it.
I mean, I'll give you my ESPN Plus account, I suppose.
I think I have ESPN Plus because I have Disney Plus, right?
If you get the package, there's multiple packages.
Oh, who knows? I don't know. All I know
Yeah,
is that I'm watching Hamilton, and that's all I care about.
it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, so I'm excited for that.
What, Hamilton? You're
The
watching it too?
Hamilton. Probably,
s-
yeah.
I'm totally gonna text you the whole time
When's it going on?
tomorrow.
That's right. And then also, speaking of which, there's also the cabaret. What's it?
Your
Lenny's
face is a
Clock Tower.
cabaret.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
The world is a cabaret. Lenny's Clock Tower, where the one and only Luna danced once.
I did. I
Um,
shaked my booty all over that place.
they're doing a free stream tonight at 8 o'clock.
Oh, that's fun.
So I might tune into that, or tune into movies with friends, or catch
Yeah.
up on shows. I don't know. I got a lot going on tonight.
Well, if you don't show up at my Netflix party, I will just judge you entirely for an entire week and then cry about it on the next episode. So you'll have to live with that.
I'll just set up multiple screens and I'll just be watching
Right.
everything all at once.
I will not. I will not be mad at you if you make another choice. That's silly.
We'll see where we get there. But let's get into everyone's favorite part of the show. Only in a pandemic.
And major civil unrest.
No ding this time.
No ding.
So, stories that we found either personally or in the world of things that can only happen in a pandemic or majors.
Um, I don't really have a good story this week. My only in a pandemic story is basically that I'm finally doing my taxes. And but the only in a pandemic part is that I have successfully procrastinated 3 times now, and I'm still
Wow.
not in trouble with the IRS.
I think they got bigger fish to fry at the moment.
Well, yeah, they're not due until like July something.
Yeah.
So when I saw it turn July, I was like, all right, okay. Okay. So I actually sent all my stuff to do them, so I'll have to deal with that reckoning whenever that happens. Um, but yeah, that was my main thing, was that usually I procrastinate and usually I would get in trouble, but not this year, buddy. No, and by get in trouble, I mean my accountant screams at me like 2 days before, "Get me your stuff." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry. Here you go." But yeah, this time I did it on my own. It just took a few months longer.
Hey, if they're gonna give you the time, you might as well use it.
Right? And I know I'm gonna owe because I'm self-employed. So
Yeah. So you always put it off if you're gonna owe.
yeah, exactly.
No judgment here.
I mean, you can judge me. I just won't care. What about you? What's your only in a pandemic or major civil unrest
Well, only in a
story?
pandemic will Tom Hanks make you feel bad about yourself.
Really?
Well, not me personally,
Oh, okay.
because Tom Hanks came out and said he is very disappointed in anyone who doesn't wear a mask. So don't disappoint Tom Hanks.
That's right, people.
America's favorite uncle will be sad if you don't wear a mask.
Aww. That's kind of
And if
amazing.
you remember, he had COVID.
He did. He was
So,
one of the first celebrities that had it. That's really funny.
yeah, it's kind of a
Uh,
great tweet. And yeah, everyone's just like, don't disappoint Tom Hanks.
He survived COVID. You can't make this all for naught.
So that made me happy, and it was nice.
That's pretty great.
So let's go ahead and end the show with our hermit level on a level 10, or on the Leonardo DiCaprio scale, as a 10 being Howard Hughes and, living in a movie theater collecting your pee in jars, and a 1 being a Wolf of Wall Street and doing blow off a hooker's ass. Where are you at today on your hermit level, or this week?
What if I did blow off my own
I would be
ass?
impressed, honestly.
I would also be impressed. That sounds like a lot of work. That's not gonna happen. Um, I'm, I think I'm a
Okay.
9. I've just been keeping to myself, doing my thing. I feel like at some point I saw humans. Did I? I don't think so though. Oh well, I went out to Charlottesville for one night, But that's not seeing humans. It's literally running into my partner's house and running back out. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. I've just been like real sequestered, but yet it doesn't feel as much as the last 2 weeks. So just a
Yeah, you
solid
seem
9.
a bit more upbeat this week.
Yeah, I guess I have been more social media
There you go.
social this week. So that maybe that's where the point 0.5
Although
comes
it
from.
reminds me of a song, just you saying I went and saw humans. There's an MXPX song called Study Humans, and about going out and looking at people.
Hopefully not in the creepy
No, just being
way.
like, what are people? Sometimes you
That
just
I
sit
can
out
relate to.
in the pre-sickness era. You could sit in the park and just like, what are people? What's
It's true. I love
yeah.
people watching, but now they all terrify me. So I'll just stay inside. It's fine. So are you peeing in jars yet or
No, I'd
what?
say maybe a 4. I'm about at.
Okay.
I'm still seeing the band pretty often. We just jammed last week. I saw my
Mhm.
parents for the first time in a couple months, as well as my brother, his wife, and the nephew because I got the positive or negative test. The
Negative
positive
test.
results of the negative test, just to confuse people
Yes,
further.
yes. Yay. Well, that's awesome because I know that your parents wanted to see you and that's cool. So I'm
So
glad
I
you
did
guys did
that.
that.
And then tomorrow I am going to a barbecue with 4 people at a personal place. Uh,
That sounds like
we've all been
germs.
quarantined, so we're gonna, celebrate Rube Goldberg. At least I am. And
Yeah, there's not a lot to celebrate outside of
yeah,
that, but
well, soon it will be because it's coming up for the best 2 weeks of the year. We'll see how they work out.
oh,
Yeah.
obviously. The best 2 weeks faux show. Oh, and I actually do have I'll probably talk about it on the next episode, but I'm looking forward to we're going to a
Ooh,
drive-in on Sunday. I'm mad excited. I haven't been to a drive-in
what are
in
you seeing?
forever. It's a double feature of Jungle Book and Deadpool.
Which jungle? Not that any of them are good, but which Jungle Book?
The newest one.
Oh,
So
the
it's gonna
Andy
be like
Serkis
this
one. Yeah.
trash.
Oh,
It's gonna be like this crazy, terrible, PG, awful CGI Jungle Book, and then a whole lot of cursing. It's
that
gonna be
sounds fun.
great. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. And my partner has a van, so we're planning on just backing it up so that and making the back like a
Yeah.
bed, and we're just gonna have a bunch of pillows and blankets and snacks and I will likely turn into a powder sugar person because my partner will be eating all of the funnel cake and I don't know how I'm going to escape it. So I may actually not wear black.
Do you own Not Black?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so that'll be something interesting to talk
That's the way
about
to
next
do
week.
it. Yeah, I've thought about that, and I was like, my car is incredibly uncomfortable to sit in.
I wonder if you could take the
So
back seat out. Yeah, your car is really low and
it's made for driving. It's not made for hanging out in.
yeah, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. Anywho's it's. So I think that brings us to the end of another episode of the Goth and the Sloth.
Woohoo!
If people want to contact you and tell them about their fur baby and what they're doing with it, where
They
can
can
they
tell
contact
themselves
you?
about their fur baby.
Yes,
You can
that's
tell
it.
yourself about your fur baby on my page at Luna underscore Minwee on Instagram and Twitter. And also the Goth and Sloth wait, no, Goth and Sloth Instagram and Twitter. But I'm
Yep.
Instagram and he's Twitter, so
Yes. And also, if you want to ask a question, Gmail, gothandsloth at Gmail.
mhm.
We check it.
And you can
There's
comment
nothing
on our
today.
videos and on the
Yeah.
YouTubes.
Yeah. And you can find me at wizard underscore Matt on the Twitter and wizard cosplay. My band is Leonardo Band on SoundCloud because Leonardo was taken, and I'm very upset. But
Fight them. Send
I
them nasty emails.
should have a rap battle. Find out who
Oh
wins.
no.
And then my YouTube channel is Matt the Pharaoh Wizard on YouTube, and I got a bunch of videos coming out. I just uploaded 4, so they're going to be coming out soon. Very
Nice.
excited. So yeah.
Yay. Yeah, follow us. Say hi. Do things. Be good. Wash your hands.
And stay home.